The Galactic Academy floated in the endless darkness of space like a giant metal flower. Station 7 was home to over 10,000 students from 40 different species. They came from planets near and far to learn together, to understand each other, and to build friendships that would last across the stars. Class 4C was having a normal morning. They sat near the windows, their beautiful crystal wings catching the artificial sunlight. They were delicate creatures, no heavier than a small bird with skin that shimmered like glass. Next to them, they rested in special chairs filled with nutrient gel. They had no solid form, just colorful, jelly-like bodies that changed color based on their emotions. Blue meant calm, yellow meant nervous, red meant angry. Sat in the middle row. He was a tall and thin with bones as hollow as a flute. His species had evolved on a low-gravity world, so they were light and graceful but also very fragile. A fall that would bruise a human could shatter an arm. Instructor stood at the front of the class, his long fingers tapping on a. He had been teaching for 30 years. He thought he had seen everything. He was wrong. "Class, we have a new student joining us today," announced. His voice was calm, but there was something strange in his eyes. "She comes from a recently contacted world called Earth. Please make her feel welcome." The door slid open. The girl who walked in looked ordinary at first. She had black hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Her skin was a warm tan color and she was neither too tall nor too short. She wore the standard academy uniform, gray jacket, dark pants, comfortable shoes. But something was wrong. Bora, a small with rose-colored wings, felt her heart beat faster. The new student moved differently than anyone she had ever seen. Each step was controlled, purposeful, like a predator walking through tall grass. And her eyes faced forward, not to the sides like prey animals, forward, like a hunter. "Hello, everyone," the girl said. Her voice was pleasant and warm. She smiled, showing white teeth. "My name is, I hope we can be good friends." Nobody spoke. Smile faltered slightly. She looked around the silent room, confusion crossing her face. "Did I say something wrong?" Cleared his throat. His twin hearts were beating too fast. The briefing he had received about humans had been short but terrifying. Earth was classified as a Class 12, a planet so dangerous that most species could not survive there for even one day. The gravity alone would crush us bones. The atmosphere was filled with a corrosive gas called oxygen. The planet had active volcanoes, massive storms, extreme temperatures, and predators everywhere. And this girl had grown up there. She had survived there. She had thrived there. "No," managed to say. "Please take a seat. There is an empty desk next to." Walked down the aisle between the desks. As she passed, the students shifted color, from calm blue to anxious yellow to pure white terror. They pressed themselves against the windows, their wings trembling. Dory, a young with a particularly sensitive nature, watched the human approach. She had read her parents' classified files about Earth. She knew things that her classmates did not know. She knew that humans could run for hours without stopping, chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. She knew that they could survive injuries that would kill most species, broken bones, deep cuts, even the loss of entire limbs. She knew that they ate plants that produced poison as a defense mechanism, and they did it because they enjoyed the taste. And now one of these monsters was sitting down right across the room, pulling out a notebook, and asking if she could borrow a pen. "Of course," said weakly. His hollow bones felt even more fragile than usual. He handed her a writing tool, careful not to let their fingers touch. "Thanks," said brightly. "I left mine in my room. First day, you know. I was so nervous I forgot half my things." Nervous, that was nervous. Did not know what to do with this information. The class continued, but nobody could focus. Every time moved, shifting in her seat, turning a page, brushing hair from her face. The students around her tensed. When she breathed, they could hear the rush of air filling her powerful lungs. When she stretched her arms, they could see the muscles moving under her skin, muscles designed to function in crushing gravity. At one point dropped her pen. It rolled under her desk and she bent down to pick it up. The movement was quick, casual, thoughtless. A nervous sitting too rose back, turned completely white and fainted. Her gelatinous body slumped in her chair, and her friends rushed to fan her with their appendages. Sat up, pen in hand, looking concerned. "Is she okay? What happened?" "She is fine," said quickly. Was of a sturdy species with 4 arms and thick, leathery skin. They were one of the stronger species in the class, but even she felt small next to the human. "She just gets tired easily." O nodded sympathetically. "Should I get her some water, or does she need to go to the medical bay?" No, she will be fine." Looked unconvinced but turned back to her notes. She did not notice that every student in the room was watching her. She did not notice their fear. When the class ended, packed her bag slowly. She wanted to talk to her new classmates, to make friends, to fit in. But everyone rushed out of the room so quickly that she was left standing alone. Only remained. He was too polite to run, even though every instinct told him to flee. "Hey," said, approaching him. He noticed that she walked more slowly now, more carefully. "Did I do something wrong? Everyone seemed scared of me." Hesitated, he looked at her face, really looked. Behind those predator eyes he saw something unexpected. He saw loneliness. He saw hope. He saw a young woman who just wanted to belong. "No," he said finally, "you did nothing wrong. It is just. We have never met a human before. We need time to adjust." His face brightened. Her smile was so genuine, so warm, that for a moment forgot to be afraid. "Thanks for being honest with me," she said. "And thanks for the pen. I promise I will return it tomorrow." She waved goodbye and walked out of the classroom, her footsteps echoing in the empty hallway. Stood there for a long time, trying to understand what had just happened. The most dangerous creature he had ever encountered had thanked him for a pen. She had worried about a classmate she had never met. She had looked sad when nobody wanted to talk to her. Maybe, he thought, we're more complicated than the files suggested. Maybe there was more to than teeth and muscles and survival instincts. Or maybe that was exactly what made her so terrifying. 3 days had passed since joining Class 4C. The other students had started to relax, just a little. The human had not attacked anyone. She had not eaten anyone. She sat quietly in class, took careful notes, and always said please and thank you. But today was different. Today was physical education day. Coach stood on the training field with his 4 arms crossed over his broad chest. He was built like a small boulder, and he had coached at the academy for 15 years. He had trained to fly obstacle courses. He had helped develop coordination exercises. He had worked with dozens of species. He had never trained a human. The briefing file sat heavy in his mind. Humans came from a world with gravity nearly 3 times stronger than the Academy's standard setting. They could run for hours without rest. They could lift objects many times their own weight. They were, according to the file, biological persistence predators capable of extraordinary physical feats. Watched walk onto the field with the rest of Class 4C. She wore the standard gym uniform, loose pants, a simple shirt, running shoes. She looked no different from any other student, but knew better. "Welcome everyone," he announced, his deep voice carrying across the field. "Today we will do basic endurance training. 3 laps around the track. Take your time. Rest when you need to. There is no rush." The track was 200 meters around. Most students would complete the exercise in 15 to 20 minutes, stopping frequently to catch their breath. They would flutter along slowly, their delicate wings working hard. They would roll at a gentle pace, their bodies wobbling with each movement. They would jog lightly, their hollow bones making the low gravity easier to handle. Raised her hand. "Yes," said, keeping his voice steady. "Coach, what is the gravity setting here? It feels very light." Checked his, though he already knew the answer. 0.4 standard. This is the regulation for mixed species physical education. Nodded slowly. Ah, Earth is 1.0 standard. I thought something felt different. The other students exchanged looks of horror. Nearly dropped his water bottle. The human girl had been living in gravity 2.5 times stronger than this her entire life. Every step she had ever taken, every movement she had ever made, had been against a force that would crush most of the students in this class. And she had called it normal. "Let us begin," said, trying to keep his voice calm. "On my signal." The students lined up at the starting line. Bora stretched her crystalline wings nervously. Dory shifted to a pale yellow color, cracked her 4 knuckles, ready to run at a steady pace. Stood among them, bouncing lightly on her feet. Blew his whistle. The class started moving. The took to the air, gliding slowly along the track. The rolled forward, their gelatinous bodies rippling with effort, jogged beside them, his thin legs carrying him at a comfortable pace. Ran. She did not sprint. That would come later, she thought. She simply ran at what felt like an easy, relaxed speed. The low gravity made her feel like she was flying. Each step carried her further than it should. She felt light, free, almost weightless. She completed the first lap in 45 seconds. By the time the other students finished their first lap, had completed all 3. She stood at the finish line, waiting for them, not even breathing hard. She said, watching her classmates struggle past. "Was I supposed to go slower?" Coach slipped from his fingers and clattered on the ground. Bora landed beside, her wings trembling with exhaustion. She had completed 1.5 laps. "How?" she gasped, her translator struggling to keep up with her rapid breathing. "How did you do that?" "Do what?" asked, genuinely confused. "You ran so fast, without stopping." Tilted her head. "That was not fast, that was my warm-up pace. On Earth, I usually run 5 kilometers every morning before breakfast." The translator converted the distance. 5 kilometers every morning before eating food. Bora's rose-colored wings went pale, and she sat down heavily on the ground. One by one, the other students finished the exercise. Most of them were exhausted, their bodies pushed to their limits by 3 simple laps. Had to stop halfway through the second lap, her body too tired to continue. Finished last, his hollow bones aching from the effort. Watched them all with growing concern. She had not realized how different she was. On Earth, this exercise would be considered easy, something children did for fun. But here, among these fragile, beautiful creatures, it was a serious challenge. "Are you all okay?" she asked, moving toward. "You look tired." "We are fine," managed to say between breaths. "This is normal for us." Frowned. She looked down at her own body, her strong legs, her steady heartbeat, her lungs that were not even close to struggling. For the first time, she understood just how different she was from her classmates. Coach approached her carefully, keeping a safe distance. He said, "I think we need to discuss a modified training program for you. The standard exercises are not suitable." "Did I do something wrong?" "No, you did everything right. That is the problem." Did not understand, but she nodded anyway. The rest of the gym class was awkward. Had do stretches in a corner while the other students recovered. She followed his instructions without complaint, but she could feel everyone watching her. Their eyes followed her every movement, tracking her like prey watching a predator. After class, walked to the changing rooms alone. The other students gave her space, lots of space. They were not being mean, she realized. They were just scared. But scared of what? She had not hurt anyone. She had not threatened anyone. She had just run a little fast. Caught up with her outside the changing rooms. He was still breathing heavily, but he forced himself to speak. "That was impressive," he said. Looked at him surprised. "Really?" "Really? I have never seen anyone run like that. You made it look so easy." "It felt easy," admitted. "The gravity here is so light, I felt like I could fly." Laughed, a thin, whistling sound that his species made when amused. For us, that track is very difficult. 3 laps is a serious workout. I did not know. I am sorry if I made anyone feel bad. You did not, you just surprised us. Paused, choosing his next words carefully. On my home world we have a saying, the river does not apologize for being deep. You are what you are, you do not need to be sorry for it. Smiled a real warm smile that reached her eyes. That is a beautiful saying, thank you. You are welcome, and maybe tomorrow you can tell me more about Earth. I want to understand where you come from. Really, you are not afraid? Considered the question honestly. Yes, he was afraid. Every instinct in his body screamed danger when he looked at the human. Her forward-facing eyes, her dense muscles, her endless endurance, everything about her said predator. But he had also seen her face when no one wanted to talk to her. He had seen her worry about fainting. He had seen her offer to get water for a classmate she did not know. Maybe being afraid and being curious could exist together. I am a little afraid, he admitted, but I am also interested. Is that okay? Smile grew wider. That is more than okay. That is the nicest thing anyone has said to me since I got here. They walked back to the dormitories together, the human and an unlikely pair in an unlikely place. The other students watched them go, whispering among themselves. Something was changing in Class 4C. They just did not know what yet. News about spread through the academy like fire through dry grass. The human girl who had finished 3 laps in 4 minutes, the who was not even tired afterward, the predator who walked among them wearing a friendly smile. Students from other classes found excuses to walk past Class 4C's homeroom, hopping to catch a glimpse of her. Some were curious, most were terrified. A few brave souls tried to take pictures with their communication devices before running away. Noticed the attention but did not understand it. On Earth she had been completely ordinary. Average height, average speed, average strength, nothing special at all. Here she was a monster. 2 weeks after her arrival, Coach announced a new exercise, the obstacle course. This course is designed to test agility and problem solving, he explained to Class 4C. Low walls to climb over, small gaps to jump across, a rope swing over a foam pit. Take your time. Safety is more important than speed. The obstacle course stretched across the training field like a playground for giants. The walls were 30 centimeters tall, a decent challenge for most species. The gaps were half a meter wide, far enough to require a real jump. The foam pit was 2 meters across, with a rope hanging above it for students to swing to the other side. For most students, this course would take 10 to 15 minutes to complete. Looked at it and felt confused. Coach, she said, raising her hand, are these the real obstacles, or are they for practice? Sai twitched. These are the real obstacles. O looked at the 30-centimeter walls. On Earth, she could step over things twice that height without thinking. Okay, I will try my best. The students went one at a time, with timing each attempt. Bora flew over the course gracefully, her crystalline wings carrying her over every obstacle with ease. They were built for this kind of exercise, light, agile, and perfectly suited to aerial navigation. They had more trouble. Dory had to stretch her gelatinous body to climb over each wall, and the gaps required careful positioning. She finished the course looking exhausted but proud. Struggled the most. His hollow bones made climbing difficult, and his thin limbs had trouble gripping the rope swing. He managed to complete the course, but he was visibly tired by the end. Then it was turn. She approached the first wall, 30 centimeters of padded material designed to challenge students of all species. She looked at it for a moment, then simply stepped over it. The watching students went silent. Moved to the second wall and stepped over that one too, then the third, then the fourth. She did not climb, she did not struggle, she just walked over them like they were small rocks in a stream. The gaps were next. Half a meter of empty space, designed to require a real jump for most species. Crossed each one in a single stride. Her legs were long enough and her muscles were strong enough that the gaps were barely an obstacle at all. Finally, she reached the foam pit. The pit was 2 meters across, filled with soft foam blocks that would safely catch anyone who fell. A thick rope hung from a metal frame above, swinging gently in the climate-controlled air. Students were supposed to grab the rope, swing across, and land safely on the other side. Looked at the rope. She looked at the pit. She measured the distance with her eyes, calculating angles and trajectories without even realizing she was doing it. Then she ignored the rope and jumped. Not a small hop, not a careful leap, a real, powerful jump that launched her body through the air like a missile. She sailed over the foam pit with half a meter to spare, landed in a crouch on the other side, and straightened up casually. The sound of her landing echoed through the gymnasium. The floor shook slightly beneath her feet, the impact of dense, bones meeting station metal. Watching from the sidelines, turned pure white and collapsed. Dropped her water bottle. Coach forgot how to speak. Turned around, brushing off her pants. "Did I do it wrong?" she asked, noticing the shocked faces. "Was I supposed to use the rope? I am sorry, I just thought." She stopped talking because she noticed something else. Was standing at the edge of the foam pit, staring at the rope with frustration. He had tried the swing 3 times during his attempt and had fallen into the foam each time. His hollow bones made upper body strength nearly impossible, and his thin fingers could not grip the rope tightly enough. He looked so small, so fragile, so defeated. His protective instincts activated before she could think about it. On Earth, humans took care of the weak. They protected children, cared for the elderly, and defended those who could not defend themselves. It was built into their DNA, a survival strategy that had kept their species alive for millions of years. She called out, "Wait there, I am coming." Before anyone could stop her, she waded back into the foam pit. The soft blocks came up to her waist, but she pushed through them easily, her powerful legs driving her forward. She reached and smiled at him. "Want some help?" "What do you mean?" "Get on my back, I will carry you across." Stared at her, the wanted to carry him, physically lift him and transport him through the obstacle. This was not normal. This was not safe. This was. "Okay," he heard himself say. Turned around and crouched slightly, climbed onto her shoulders, wrapping his thin arms around her neck. He weighed maybe 40 kilograms, less than a child on Earth, stood up without any effort at all. "Hold on," she said cheerfully. She walked through the foam pit as easily as walking through water. The blocks parted around her, pushed aside by her strong legs. Held on, feeling her muscles work beneath him, feeling the easy power in every step she took. When they reached the other side, set him down gently. Then she patted him on the back to say good job. The pat sent stumbling forward 3 steps. He would have fallen if had not caught him. Sorry. Eyes went wide with horror. "I forgot, lighter gravity, lighter touch. Are you hurt? Did I break something? Please tell me I did not break something." Caught his breath. His back tingled where she had touched him. Nothing was broken, but he knew he would have a bruise tomorrow, a human-shaped bruise from a friendly pat. "I am fine," he said, and he meant it. "Thank you for helping me." "Really, you are not angry?" "Why would I be angry? You carried me across the pit. Nobody has ever done that for me before." His worried expression melted into relief. "I am glad. I was so scared I hurt you. You are all so fragile," Dory offered, her color shifting to an amused purple. "I was going to say delicate. It sounds nicer." The whole class was staring at her now, but something had changed. The fear was still there, yes. The instinctive terror of being near a predator but there was something else mixed in with it now. Something that looked almost like affection. Bora landed beside her rose-colored wings folded neatly against her back. "You jumped 2 meters," she said. "Without the rope, just jumped. The gravity is very light here. It felt easy. And then you went back into the pit to help. You did not have to do that." Shrugged, he needed help. What else was I supposed to do? The exchanged glances. The shifted through several colors. The scratched their heads with their extra arms. What kind of predator went back to help the weak? What kind of monster carried its classmates on its shoulders? What kind of apologized for patting someone too hard? Coach finally found his voice. "Class is dismissed," he said weakly. "Please report to the medical bay for routine checkups. Everyone, including me, especially me." As the students filed out of the gymnasium, walked beside. She moved more slowly now, more carefully, matching his pace instead of her own. "I really am sorry about the pat," she said quietly. "Please stop apologizing. It is fine. Actually, it is more than fine." Looked at her, really looked, past the predator features and the dangerous muscles. "I think you are the kindest person I have ever met." Blushed. On her tan skin, the red color was barely visible, but Dory noticed it and shifted to a warm pink. "Oh no," the said to nobody in particular. "She is not scary at all. She is adorable." Nobody disagreed. Weeks passed and Class 4C slowly changed. The students still gave extra space when she walked by. They still flinched when she sneezed. They still watched her every movement with careful eyes. But the pure terror had faded into something softer, something almost like friendship. The practical class representative decided that she needed to understand humans better. If she was going to share a classroom with she should at least know what she was dealing with. She spent 3 nights reading every file she could find about Earth and its inhabitants. What she discovered kept her awake for another 3 nights after that. Humans were persistence predators. They did not kill their prey with speed or strength alone. They chased it for hours, sometimes for days. They followed animals across deserts and through forests, walking and running without rest until their prey collapsed from exhaustion. Then they killed it. This explained why it could run so far without getting tired. Her species was literally designed for endless pursuit. Humans healed from injuries that would kill most species. Broken bones mended themselves. Deep cuts sealed up and over. They could lose an arm and still survive. They could survive diseases that would wipe out entire planets. This explained why she seemed so careless about her own safety. To her, falling down stairs or bumping into walls was nothing. Her body could handle it. And then there was the food. Had requested a copy of her meal plan from the cafeteria. What she read made her 4 stomachs turn. Humans ate capsaicin, a chemical that plants produce specifically to stop animals from eating them. It burned the mouth. It caused pain and tears, and humans ate it for fun. They called it spicy food. Humans drank caffeine, a natural pesticide that killed insects. They put it in drinks called coffee and tea. They consumed it every morning to help them wake up. Humans ate chocolate, a substance that was poisonous to many Earth animals. They gave it as gifts. They ate it when they were sad. They celebrated holidays with it. Species had evolved to consume poison and call it delicious. Closed the files and sat in silence for a long time. The next day she approached during lunch. The human was sitting alone, as usual, eating something from the Earth food replicator. It smelled strange, sweet, and spicy at the same time. "May I sit here?" asked. His face lit up with surprise and joy. "Yes, please. I was hoping someone would eat with me today." Sat down across from her, keeping her food at a safe distance from whatever was eating. "I have been reading about your planet," she said. "Really? What did you learn?" "That it is terrifying. That your species should not exist. That everything about your world is designed to kill you, and somehow you survived anyway." Laughed. It was a bright, happy sound that made several nearby students jump in alarm. It is not that bad. Earth is beautiful. We have oceans and mountains and forests. We have animals that are soft and cute. We have sunsets that paint the sky in orange and pink. You also have earthquakes and volcanoes and hurricanes. Well, yes, but those are not everywhere. Most days are peaceful. Leaned forward, her 4 arms folded on the table. How do you survive there? How does your species keep going when your world is trying so hard to destroy you? Thought about the question seriously. She had never considered Earth dangerous before coming to the academy. It was just home. The place where she grew up, went to school, had friends, lived her life. We survive because we work together, she said finally. Humans are pack animals. We form groups. We protect each other. We share food and shelter and warmth. Alone, we are not that special, but together we can do amazing things. Pack animals, repeated, like predators who hunt in groups. Sort of, but we do not just bond with other humans. We bond with everything. Animals, plants, machines. Anything that we spend time with becomes important to us. Machines. His cheeks turned slightly pink. I had a rice cooker once, a machine that cooks grain. I had it for 6 years. When it finally broke, I cried for an hour. His translator struggled with this sentence. The human had formed an emotional bond with a heating device. She had leaked fluid from her eyes because a machine stopped working. You cried for a machine. We had been through a lot together, said defensively. It helped me through university. It made me food when I was too tired to cook. It was always there for me. Did not know what to say. She had expected stories about hunting and fighting and surviving. She had not expected stories about loving kitchen appliances. Other students had started to gather, drawn by the unusual conversation. Sat down beside. Bora landed on the table, her wings folded. Dory rolled closer, her color shifting to curious blue. Is it true that humans eat poison for fun? Dory asked. Considered this. Some plants produce chemicals to stop animals from eating them. We eat those plants anyway because they taste good. I guess that counts as poison. It definitely counts as poison. Then yes, we eat poison for fun. The turned pale but did not move away. Why would you do that? Because it tastes good and because it makes us feel alive, smiled. Humans like to challenge ourselves. We climb mountains for no reason. We swim in cold oceans. We explore dark caves. We enjoy the struggle. It makes us feel strong. Bora made a small sound of disbelief. You climb mountains for no reason. For fun, for exercise, for the view at the top. There are easier ways to see views. Easier is boring. The class stared at her. This small, friendly, kind human girl was telling them that she enjoyed struggling, that her species deliberately sought out challenges because they found it entertaining. Laughed his thin, whistling laugh. No wonder you seemed bored during gym class. Our exercises must be so easy for you. They are different, said diplomatically. I am learning to appreciate different kinds of challenges, like moving slowly, being gentle, not breaking things accidentally. How is that a challenge? You have no idea. Looked down at her hands, hands that could crush bone if she was not careful. On Earth, everyone is as strong as me. I never had to think about it, but here I have to control every movement, every touch, every step. If I forget, I could hurt someone. She looked up at her classmates with serious eyes. I never want to hurt any of you, ever. So I practice being gentle. I practice being soft. It is the hardest thing I have ever done. The table went quiet. Reached out with one of her 4 arms and touched his shoulder. It was a gesture of comfort, of understanding, of acceptance. We know, she said. We see how careful you are. We see how hard you try. Really? Really, and we appreciate it. Dory shifted to warm pink. We were so scared of you at first. We thought you were a monster, but you are not. You are just different but good. His eyes got wet. Fluid gathered at the corners, threatening to spill over. Sorry, she said, wiping at her face. Humans leak when we feel strong emotions. Happy, sad, grateful, it all comes out the same way. That is disgusting, Bora said. I know, but also kind of sweet. Laughed through her tears. Around the table, her classmates watched her, this strange, powerful, emotional creature from a. She was terrifying and adorable. She was dangerous and gentle. She was everything they had feared and everything they had hoped for. She was their friend. And somehow, against all odds, that was enough. From that day forward, no longer ate lunch alone. Every day, more students joined her table. They asked questions about Earth. They shared stories about their own planets. They learned to flinch less when she laughed and to trust more when she reached out her hand. Class 4C was changing. And it was changing for the better. The attack came without warning. It was the middle of the night cycle. Station 7 floated peacefully in the darkness of space, its lights dimmed to simulate sleep time. Students rested in their dormitories. Teachers graded assignments in their quarters. Security guards walked their usual routes. None of them saw the ship approaching. The raiders had been watching the station for weeks. They knew that academic stations were soft targets, full of young, weak students from peaceful species. Easy prey. Easy profit. They would take hostages, demand ransom, and disappear into deep space before anyone could stop them. They had done this many times before. They had never encountered a human. The first explosion rocked the station at exactly 3 in the morning. Class 4C woke to screaming alarms and flashing red lights, fell out of his bed, his hollow bones rattling with fear. Bora's wings tangled in her blankets as she tried to fly. Dory rolled off her sleeping platform and shifted to pure white terror. "What is happening?" shouted over the noise. "What is going on?" The dormitory's communication screen flickered to life. A harsh, alien face appeared, scales and teeth and cold, cruel eyes. "Attention, students of 7, they said. This station is now under our control. Do not resist. Do not try to escape. Stay in your rooms and wait for further instructions. Anyone who fights back will be killed." The screen went dark. Panic spread through the dormitory like wildfire. The clustered together, their crystal wings trembling. The shifted through every color of fear. The huddled in corners, their fragile bodies shaking. Only was calm. She stood in the center of the common room, her eyes closed, her breathing steady. Something had changed in her posture. Something ancient and powerful had woken up inside her. This was not the friendly who helped classmates with homework. This was not the gentle who apologized for patting people too hard. This was a... "Everyone," she said, and her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Get behind me, now." Nobody argued. The students moved quickly, gathering behind the human girl like small animals hiding behind a larger predator. They did not question her. They did not hesitate. Some instinct, older than thought, told them that would keep them safe. Footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Heavy boots, multiple attackers coming closer. Opened her eyes. She said quietly, "Is there another way out of this room?" "The emergency hatch, in the storage closet, but it leads to the maintenance tunnels. They are very small and very dark." "Perfect, take everyone there. Hide until the station is secure." "What about you?" Smiled, but it was not her usual warm smile. This smile had teeth. This smile had edges. This smile was the smile of a species that had hunted mammoths and fought tigers and survived ice ages. "I will slow them down." "No," Dory's color shifted to desperate purple. "You cannot fight them alone. They have weapons. They are trained soldiers." "And I am from Earth," rolled her shoulders, loosening muscles that had been designed by millions of years of evolution to pursue, to fight, to kill. "Trust me, this is what we do." The door began to shake. The raiders were cutting through it with plasma torches. Smoke curled from the metal. The lock glowed red hot. "Go," said, "now." Wanted to argue, he wanted to stay, he wanted to help somehow. But he really looked, and he understood something important. She was not afraid. She was not nervous. She was excited. This was her element. This was what humans were built for. 100,000 years of survival had created this moment and was ready for it. "Everyone follow me," said, his voice steadier than he felt, quickly, through the storage closet. The students moved. Bora helped Carrie, who had fainted again, shepherded them with her 4 strong arms. Dory rolled as fast as she could, her gelatinous body wobbling with urgency. In 30 seconds, the common room was empty except for. She faced the door alone, her feet planted, her hands relaxed at her sides. Her heart beat steady and slow. Her breathing was calm and deep. Her eyes tracked the glow of the plasma torch, calculating trajectories and timing and force. The door exploded inward. 3 raiders stormed through, shock staves raised. They were large, each one taller than by half a meter. Their scales were thick, designed for combat. Their weapons crackled with electricity. They were experienced warriors. They had raided dozens of stations. They had never lost a fight. They had never fought a human. Moved. She was faster than they expected. Much faster. She closed the distance before the first raider could react, grabbed his shock stave and twisted it from his grip. Her fingers were stronger than his, fingers designed to grip and climb and hold on for hours. She slammed the weapon into his chest. The electrical discharge lit up the room like lightning. He fell. 2 seconds gone. The second raider swung at her, ducked under his arm, stepped inside his reach and planted her feet. Then she threw him. On Earth, this move was called a hip throw. It used leverage and momentum to lift an opponent and send them flying. In standard gravity, it was effective. In 0.4 gravity, it was devastating. The raider sailed through the air and crashed into the third attacker. They went down together in a tangle of limbs and curses. 5 seconds gone. Did not give them time to recover. She moved with purpose, with efficiency, with the cold precision of a predator finishing a hunt. She struck pressure points. She twisted joints. She applied force exactly where it would do the most damage. 8 seconds. 3 raiders all down. Stood over them, not even breathing hard. Her eyes scanned the corridor beyond the broken door. No more attackers, no more threats. For now, she found some cable in a storage bin and used it to tie up the unconscious raiders. The knots were complex and secure. She had learned them on camping trips as a child, back on Earth. Back when tying knots was just a fun activity, not a survival skill. Then she went to find her classmates. She found them huddled in the maintenance tunnels, clutching each other in the darkness. When she appeared at the hatch, Dory burst into tears of relief, or whatever the equivalent was. "You are alive," said. "What happened?" "We heard sounds, electricity, crashes." "The raiders are secured. 3 of them anyway. We should stay here until station security arrives." Secured stared at her. "You secured 3 armed soldiers by yourself in less than a minute." Shrugged. They were not expecting a human. Most species are not. The students stared at her with new understanding. They had known she was strong. They had known she was fast. But they had never seen what those things meant in practice. Had just defeated 3 armed warriors without breaking a sweat, without hesitation, without fear. She had done it to protect them, these fragile, delicate creatures who had become her friends. This was what it could do. Station security arrived 20 minutes later. They found the raiders tied up in the dormitory common room and Class 4C safe in the maintenance tunnels. The rescue operation ended without further violence. The pirates were arrested. The station was secured. In the morning, the academy held an emergency assembly. Was called to the front of the auditorium, where the academy director, an ancient with silver-white feathers, presented her with a commendation for bravery. This young woman, the director said, showed extraordinary courage in the face of danger. She put herself at risk to protect her classmates. She embodies everything this academy stands for. The auditorium erupted in applause. Students from every class and every species clapped and cheered for the human who had saved Class 4C. Stood on the stage, blushing furiously. She did not feel like a hero. She had just done what any human would do, protected her pack, defended her family, kept her people safe. After the assembly, her classmates gathered around her. Was there, and Bora and Dory and all the others. They looked at her with eyes full of gratitude and admiration and love. "Thank you," said simply. "For what?" "For being you, for being our friend, for being terrifying when we needed you to be terrifying, and gentle when we needed you to be gentle." Felt tears prick at her eyes again. Happy tears, grateful tears. 3 years later, on graduation day, received the Academy's highest honor for her actions that night. But the award she treasured most was not a medal or a certificate. It was a small gift from her classmates, wrapped in colorful paper and tied with a ribbon. Inside was a grain heating device, a rice cooker, exactly like the one she had lost back on Earth. The card attached to it read, "To our favorite, thank you for being terrifying and kind. With love, Class 4C." Held the rice cooker in her arms and cried. Happy tears, grateful tears, human tears. And somewhere in the vast, dark, dangerous universe, a group of unlikely friends had found exactly where they belonged, together.